This is the man who now looks likely to become Israel's next prime minister. On the right of Israeli politics, Naftali Bennett, a 49-year-old self-made millionaire, here campaigning in Israel's fourth election in 2 years. Another opposition leader, Yair Lapid, whose centrist party actually did better than Bennett's in the poll, has been trying to form a coalition. Bennett was seen as the kingmaker, but as part of the deal, he looks now likely to also become the king, serving first as prime minister before rotating with Lapid. His views on Palestinians are forthright. He's openly opposed to a two-state solution and in favour of further settlement building. These were his comments in a recent Al Jazeera interview during the Israeli bombardment of Gaza.
You know, the whole width of Israel is just about 7 or 8 miles. We see what they turned Gaza into. No Israeli is going to give up Judea and Samaria and allow them to create a terror state that's just a few minutes away from my home. Would you?
Despite his strong views, if he gains power, Bennett will be constrained on Palestinian issues by his likely coalition, which would include left-wing parties. This at the same time that the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken has made it clear there's no plan to restart peace negotiations.
The Israeli-Palestinian conflict will not be dealt with, apparently, for the next few years. And it has to do not only with Israeli politics, it has to do with American politics, it has to do with Palestinian politics.
Members of the international community often didn't like the policies pursued by Benjamin Netanyahu, but he was a known quantity, Israel's longest-serving prime minister. Now there's a strong possibility they may have to deal with a new, younger leader with even more controversial views. James Bays, Al Jazeera, West Jerusalem.
Dov Waxman is the director of the UCLA Y&S Nazarenian Center for Israel Studies. He says the potential broad coalition's objective of getting Netanyahu out of office could be all they agree on.
Well, I don't think anybody is quite yet prepared to declare it's finally over until the Knesset actually votes in little over a week for this new government, but it looks more likely now than it has in any time over the past dozen years that Netanyahu's been in power, that his days are numbered and that he's about to finally leave office. This is a broad government that includes not only the centre and the hard right, but also centre-left parties as well. So it's really a large, unwieldy coalition kept together largely by the one thing that they all agree upon, which is that they don't want Netanyahu to remain as prime minister. I think they will be able to hold together, at least as long as Netanyahu is the Likud party leader. If Netanyahu were to somehow decide, which is very unlikely, to resign, then maybe the one thing holding them together would be absent and they would fall apart. In terms of what they can do, I think very little. I think it will likely focus on economic issues. That's where there's the greatest areas of agreement between the different parties. Post-COVID relief, repairing Israel's dilapidated infrastructure, those kind of domestic issues. But when it comes to foreign policy issues and when it comes to the Palestinian issue in particular, the disagreements among the different members of this potential coalition, I think, will make it very unlikely that there'll be any real policy change or initiatives.